Sea Wolf Game. Full walkthrough and interactive practice. In McKinsey's Sea Wolf Game, which presents McKinsey's latest addition to its McKinsey Solve Game, you need to board the Sea Wolf ship and, in the ship laboratory, select the most suitable microbes to clean up 3 ocean sectors. In this video, I offer you a complete walkthrough through the Sea Wolf game and invite you to practice all 5 game steps with me together interactively so that you pass the game. Previously, you only had to master 2 McKinsey Solve games, namely McKinsey's Ecosystem Game and the Redrock Study, as part of McKinsey's Problem Solving Game, or PSG. As if these 2 games have not been enough, after trialing it in 2024 with a subset of candidates, since the beginning of 2025, the Sea Wolf game is now mandatory for all candidates, so that you will need to master it too. And McKinsey is still making changes to it. For instance, since I published my recent McKinsey Sea Wolf Game strategy guide video, McKinsey has actually reduced the thinking time available to you from 35 to 30 minutes while keeping the same game length. And as I will demonstrate to you in a moment, further changes have been made and may still be coming. You find my most up-to-date strategy guides and mock simulations enabling you to practice these 3 solve games interactively in my complete McKinsey Solve Game playlist. Also, I invite you to download my free consulting online test prep kit, in which I have compiled links to free online test prep materials on more than 25 pages for you, including free test prep materials provided by McKinsey itself. I regularly update my prep kit, so if McKinsey is making any further changes to its games, I will let you know in my prep kit. You can download it immediately and for free, link in the video description below this video. If you want to make sure you pass the McKinsey Solve game safely and no matter what, then I want to make you aware of a professional McKinsey Solve prep kit developed by a third-party provider. About 90% of candidates who leverage this professional prep kit for their test preparation and execution pass the McKinsey Solve game. And even better, you only need to pay for it if you pass the McKinsey Solve game. No joke. Link in the video description below this video. Agenda-wise, we shall keep this video straight and simple to clear up the growing confusion around the Sea Wolf game. First, I will offer you a brief overview of the game and its objectives before I walk you through each step of the Sea Wolf game and enable you to interactively practice them all. I'm Jack and spent 5 years as a consultant and project manager with the world's leading management consulting firm McKinsey Company, and now serve as an independent management advisor. Here on my UN Consulting YouTube channel, you find my top quality advice on your business and consulting careers. And if you have already watched some of my videos in this McKinsey Solve Game playlist, you may know that I like picking themes for many of my videos. So I thought for this video I turn into a Sea Wolf Ship Laboratory Nurse. I am here to help you pass the McKinsey PSG and pick the most powerful microbes to clean up the ocean sites. So hopefully after watching this video, your state of mind goes from this to this. Game overview. The game in its current setup demands you to select the most suitable microbes for cleaning up 3 ocean sectors. For each of the 3 ocean sites, you need to go through these 5 steps, which 5 tasks mostly follow the same structure. I will break down details and winning strategies for each step in a moment. For now, I want you to understand that the game requires you to take a lot of decisions, around 20 for each ocean site, or 60 decisions in total in a rather short amount of time. With the 30 minutes of thinking time available to you, this implies that, on average, you have 30 seconds of thinking time per decision to make. However, we can be sure that time to complete the game is a decisive factor for you to succeed in the game, so you ideally ought to take your decisions even faster. Furthermore, Over the course of an ocean site, the decisions demanded from you gradually become more difficult, and I expect you to spend most thinking time during the 3-step force of the 3 sites. When I say that you need to select the most suitable microbes to clean up an ocean sector, what does that actually mean? You will find that each of the 3 ocean sectors comes with a set of 5 characteristics. These characteristics remain permanent for one ocean site, so in total you will be prompted with 3 different ocean parameter sets only through the course of a game. 1 parameter set for each ocean site to be cleaned. All microbes presented to you during the game will come with 4 characteristics, and they vary from microbe to microbe. Let us take a closer look at the characteristics now. Both the ocean site as well as the microbe characteristics are described by 3 attributes with numerical values from 1 to 10. In this example, the 3 attributes are called rigidity, mobility and size, but these names or parameters may vary from game to game, that does not matter. Each ocean site comes with desired attribute ranges, whereas the microbes possess a certain attribute value. Throughout the game, you ideally want to select microbes whose attribute values are within the 3 desired attribute ranges for the given ocean site. In this example, the microbe's rigidity is 9, hence within the ocean site's preferred rigidity range. Its mobility is 8, again meeting the ocean site's preferred mobility interval. Also, the microbe's size value is 3, which is great, since that meets the ocean site preferences. Second, each ocean site is best matched with microbes that share the site's desired trait, while microbes with a trait that is undesired at that ocean site need to be avoided. In this example, the microbe is aerobic, which meets the ocean site's desired trait. Great, we have found a unicorn microbe which satisfies all 4 site conditions. Well, you will already guess that not all microbes presented to you share these perfect characteristics. Game objectives and success criteria. So much for now on the general structures of microbes and ocean sites in this game. How are they linked to the overall game objectives and success criteria? As I will show you in a moment, at the end of the microbe screening process at each of the 3 ocean sites, you will need to submit your final sets of 3 microbes that together fulfill 5 requirements. McKinsey will inform you about your game objectives during the untimed tutorial times, and you should pay close attention to them. What you are currently presented with will be these 5 success criteria. For each of the 3 attributes, the average attribute value across the 3 final microbes you select needs to fall within the desired range of the site. For each attribute where this criterion is not fulfilled, you face a penalty of -20% on your test score. So it is the 3 average attribute values across the 3 microbes that eventually matter. If you do not yet fully understand this, that is fine. Just continue watching as we will revisit this later. Furthermore, within your finally submitted set of 3 microbes, at least 1 microbe must have the desired trait. Otherwise, you will incur a 20% penalty on your test score. Likewise, you must avoid the undesired trait at any cost. If only one of your selected 3 microbes has the undesired trait, you again face a 20% penalty on your test score. Even though you need to make the final decisions on which 3 microbes to submit at the 4th decision steps of the 3 ocean sites, it is important that you keep these final success or failure criteria in mind from the beginning of your game. Throughout the game, you want to pre-select, earmark and finally submit microbes that meet as many desired ocean site characteristics as possible. At this point, I want to make you aware of one further potential complication. I just presented you the Sea Wolf Game success criteria that are currently valid. However, last year when McKinsey was still trialing the game, it was somewhat different. Instead of 3 sites, there were only 2 ocean sites that you needed to clean up. And you only had 20 minutes for that instead of 30 minutes. More importantly, last year's success criteria were slightly different. The penalty values were different, and back then it did not matter whether or not in your final sets of 3 microbes the desired trait was present or not. For now, you need to meet these success criteria for each of the 3 ocean sites. However, read the instructions provided to you carefully. Also, if McKinsey changes the success criteria or other components of the game again, I will make you aware of that in my consulting online test prep kit available for your free download. Also, the provider of the pay only if you pass professional McKinsey Solve Prep Kit usually is faster than its shadow in updating its materials and simulations whenever McKinsey is changing something to its tests. Links in the video description below this video. What I have shown you on this slide are the game's official failure criteria, or what you need to avoid. To ease the work for your brain, I will phrase these 5 statements so they actually become success criteria. Throughout the game and for each microbe, select microbes whose attribute values are within the desired attribute ranges and who ideally have the desired trait. Always avoid microbes that have the undesired trait. If you feel like this little microbe now, do not worry, we will get you sorted. Interactive practice. Let me remind you of the sequence of the Sea Wolf game. You need to go through the same 5 steps 3 times for each of the 3 ocean sites. That means you can apply the same strategies I teach you in the following to all 3 sites. Therefore, in this tutorial, I walk you through the entire sequence for one ocean site. In more detail, after taking a single decision at step 1, at step 2 you need to screen 10 microbes per site. I will invite you to practice 5 step 2 decisions, after which I believe you will already have a rather good idea of the step 2 decisions. Then I will run you through a complete step 3 where you need to take 4 decisions. The toughest and most important part of the game is step 4, therefore I will over-deliver here and walk you through 2.5 scenarios or sites. You shall see. Afterwards we will top it off with step 5. Ready? Let's go! Step 1. Prepare microbe screening. Let us start with step 1. The elements here closely resemble what you will see in your actual game interface during step 1. On the right hand side, you are presented with the target characteristics of the first ocean site. These 5 characteristics will remain the same as long as we deal with ocean site 1. You are not yet suggested any specific microbe, instead you are asked to set up the future microbe screening process. This first step question may look a bit confusing, but actually is easy. Given the site 1 characteristics, what type of microbes do you prefer to be prompted with more often in the future? You may set 2 filters or targets for that. You can freely choose from the list of 7 characteristics appearing in this scenario. If you activate an attribute, you must also specify an interval spanning 2 consecutive numbers, such as 1 to 3, 2 to 4, and so on. For the traits, you either activate one or keep them unselected. Given the site 1 characteristics, microbes with which 2 characteristics would you like to see more often? And if you select an attribute, what should be the target interval? I invite you to practice with me interactively. If you do not want to do that, just continue watching the video. Otherwise, briefly think for yourself and pause the video now. I resume for the solution. It always makes sense to select the trait that is desired at the ocean site, so let us screen for microbes that are heat resistant. Furthermore, I suggest to select one attribute, but which one? Probably any attribute interval that matches an ocean site's target range is fine, but I want to introduce you to a more subtle way of thinking. Earlier I mentioned to you that it will be the average attribute values of 3 finally selected microbes that ultimately define your success score. Keeping this in mind, which of the 3 attribute ranges do you believe will be the most difficult one to meet? Well, arguably, the mobility target range from 4 to 6 is easiest to organize. You could combine 3 microbes with extreme mobility values of 1, 10 and 5 and would still land within the target range. However, the rigidity range is more extreme and less flexible, and you would need, for instance, 3 microbes with rigidity values of 7, 8 and 9 to remain within the target range. Microbes with these more narrow set of attribute values may be a bit rarer to find. Therefore, at step 1, I suggest you to always pick the most extreme attribute range. In this case, I recommend to select rigidity and to of course set your search interval from 8 to 10. As a final word on step 1, I'm not sure how important it really is. It actually turns out that your filter setting here seems to have zero impact on the type of microbes you get to see at the later steps of the game. Maybe McKinsey changes that in the future, or it just wants you to warm up and internalize the Oceanside 1 characteristics. In any case, you always want to bring your A game. Step 2. Screen 10 microbes. At step 2, besides the Oceanside 1 characteristics you are already familiar with, you are granted a little sneak preview into Side 2, of which one characteristic is revealed to you at this point. Now you need to screen 10 microbes and decide for each of them, is it a good candidate to keep in the prospect pool for Side 1? If not, may it potentially be a suitable candidate for Side 2? Or should you straight discard it? I think there's no need for a long introduction here. What would you want to do with Microbe 47? Earmark for Side 1, park for Side 2 or discard. Have a go yourself and pause the video now. I resume for the solution. Let us check. I recommend you to always check the microbe's trait first. If it has the undesired trait, or in this scenario is hydrophilic, you should never assign it to the current site. Microbe 47 is pressure resistant, hence the trait is neutral. Let us check its attributes. Rigidity 10, that is great, since it falls within the Side 1 desired rigidity range from 8 to 10. However, mobility 1 falls far below the mobility target range from 4 to 6. Size 2 also falls below the target range from 6 to 8. Overall, only 1 of 4 possible characteristics matches here, not that great. Could it be a suitable microbe for Side 2 based on the very limited Side 2 information we have? Not quite. Its rigidity level is 10, which lies at the opposite of the Side 2 rigidity target range of 1 to 2. So you should discard or return Microbe 47. Next one. Have a go yourself and pause the video now. Microbe 81. First check we apply to the trait. It is heat resistant, which matches the desired trait. Great, that's a plus. Now the attributes. Rigidity 8, yes, that is a match. Mobility 5, that is exactly in the middle of the target interval from 4 to 6, match. Size 4, no match. Microbe 81 matches 3 requirements of Side 1, so that's definitely a keeper. You should earmark it as a candidate for Side 1. Next one. Think for yourself and pause the video now. We resume for the solution. Microbe 3's trait is hydrophilic, which is the undesired trait at Side 1. Yes, it meets the Side 1 requirements for rigidity and size, but still. I recommend you to never accept a microbe that carries the undesired trait. Remember, whenever you at the end of this submit as your final set of 3 microbes, a microbe with the undesired trait, you will incur a penalty of 20% on your score. So you always want to avoid microbes with the undesired trait. Microbe 3 has a rigidity of 10, therefore it is neither a suitable candidate for Side 2 and should be discarded. What would you do with microbe number 98? Have a go yourself and pause the video now. We resume. Microbe 98's trait is aerobic, that is neither particularly useful but also harmless. If we screen for attribute matches though, Only its mobility meets the site 1 requirements. That means we only have one match here, not so great. Can we do something better? Most probably yes. Microbe 98 has a rigidity of 1, which matches the rigidity requirement of site 2. Let us park it for later and assign it for now to site 2. One more, guys. Take a look at Microbe 7. What would you do with it? Pause the video now. Microbe 7 is pressure resistant, which neither is the desired nor undesired trait of ocean site 1. Its rigidity of 5 does not meet the target rigidity range. However, it sits within the mobility and size target ranges. That means we have 2 out of 4 matches here. Is that good enough? I would say yes. Do not be too strict when going through step 2. If you have 2 attribute range matches, that already is pretty good and may still be way better than what you may see later. Therefore, I advise you to assign this microbe to site 1. Please note that the microbes you assign to a future site you might see again later. More on that at the end of this video. But the microbes you assign as potential candidates to the current site you most probably will not see again. So we could argue in a certain way that step 2 is fake too, but of course you want to do it well. I think at this point you have got a good idea of what is expected from you at step 2. In the game you will need to screen 5 more microbes like this at site 1 and 20 more microbes later during the step 2s of site 2 and site 3. Many decisions, but I think they are doable. If you compare the math required here with the math expected from you during the Redrock study, and you find some McKinsey mock questions for you to practice the Redrock study in this video here, these step 2 mini questions almost appear simplistic. Apart from the short time available, does McKinsey want to lull you into a false sense of security? You shall see in a moment. If you have watched the video until here, it probably means you enjoy it and can benefit from it. If you watch some more videos on my channel, you will find out you can benefit from every video on my channel, since I put a lot of thought and care into every single one. Therefore, please like this video and I invite you to subscribe for further top quality advice on your business and consulting careers. And if you find this video useful this far, please share it with a peer in need. Step 3. Pre-select 4 microbe candidates. Let us move on to step 3 of the Sea Wolf game. What do you see here? At the bottom of the screen, you find 6 microbes that have already been pre-selected for you by the game. They are not connected in any way to the previous 2 game steps. These bottom 6 microbes are just assigned to you. Your task at step 3 is to select 4 more microbes suitable to clean up ocean site 1. Before I share some more background with you about step 3 in a moment, I suggest for practice, let us select the first one of the 4 microbes you still need to add. In the middle of the screen, you are presented with a pool of 3 microbes and need to select one of them. The site 1 requirements remain the same as before. Which of these 3 microbes do you think meets the site 1 requirements best and should be picked? Think for a moment for yourself and pause the video now. Let us take a look together. As before, I suggest you first take a look at the 3 microbes traits. It turns out that microbe 16 is hydrophilic, which still is the site 1's undesired trait. A microbe as an undesired trait will never be useful, so we can eliminate it immediately. The other 2 microbes carry neutral traits that are neither desired nor undesired at site 1. Let us check their attributes. Microbe 58 has a rigidity of 8 and microbe 70 a rigidity of 9. Both microbes meet the site 1 target range for rigidity from 8 to 10. Now let us look at mobility. Microbe 58 has a mobility of 5 and microbe 70 has a mobility of 4. Again, both microbes meet the site 1 mobility target interval between 4 and 6. The ideal site 1 size range reaches from 6 to 8, but the sizes of both microbes fall below that. Now, which microbe should you pick? Both microbes 58 and 70 match 2 of the 4 site 1 requirements, so you could call them equivalent to each other. If such a tie occurs, I suggest you to take a closer look at the attributes that do not match well. The target size range is 6 to 8, and microbe 70's size value of 3 is somewhat closer to that range than microbe's 58's size value of 1. Therefore, I recommend you to select microbe 70. Once you have selected a microbe, it will be added to the pool below. In total, during step 3, you will be presented with 4 sets of 3 microbes, and from each of the 4 sets, you need to pick one. Step 3 is insofar different from the previous 2 game steps, as your choices here have an impact on the next game step. The 6 pre-assigned microbes plus the 4 microbes you need to choose actually do carry over to step 4. At step 4, you have to select your final set of 3 microbes from these 10 microbes. Does this mean that you should analyze the bottom 6 given microbes before you make your 4 choices? My advice is do not spend time on those, since each microbe you still need to pick will change the game maths anyway. And you also suffer from incomplete information. You just do not know what further microbes you will still get. Since time is so precious, do not waste any time on even just looking at the attribute values of the given microbes at this point. The only thing I would, however, do is to briefly check how many microbes already exist within the starting set that carry the desired trait. In our scenario, the desired trait is heat resistant, and we've already been pre-assigned 2 microbes that are heat resistant, namely microbes 92 and 31. This is good. I will remind you in a moment about the game's success criteria, but maybe you remember that among the final set of 3 microbes to be submitted at step 4 of the game, at least one needs to have the desired trait. Hence, in case that none of your 6 starting microbes had the desired trait, I would prioritize getting at least 1 or 2 microbes with the desired trait from the 4 sets you need to go through. Anyway, we are in a more comfortable situation since we already have 2 microbes with the desired trait. Let us go through the 3 remaining sets for this game step. I believe the next decision should be an easy one. Take a look yourself and pause the video now. We resume. Here you really ought to make a quick decision. Both microbes 46 and 38 are hydrophilic, which makes them completely useless, since it is the undesired trait. I did not even check any attribute values and straight pick microbe 65. The third set. Have a go yourself and pause the video now. Microbe 51 is hydrophilic and therefore out. Microbe 56 mobility of 5 meets the site 1 mobility target range, but that is the only match. Microbe 20 meets both the rigidity and mobility target intervals. Given both microbe 56 and 20 carry neutral traits, the choice is clear. We earmark microbe 20. Last set. Take a look. If you like to have a go yourself, pause the video now. We resume for the solution. No hydrophilic microbes this time, hence no quick eliminations. Let us check the attribute values. Microbe 37 has a rigidity of 8, which meets the rigidity target range. They are also good for mobility. 6 is within the target range. For size, that is not the case. Hence we have 2 matches. Microbe 88 also has a rigidity of 8. Great. Mobility 5, which perfectly sits within the mobility target range. Again, size is off. However, microbe 88 has the additional beauty that it is heat resistant, which is the desired trait. A quick check of microbe 5 delivers that it produces 0 matches. Therefore, I recommend to pick microbe 88. That was step 3. Are you ready for step 4? Submit 3 microbes for current site. At step 4, the game is culminating as we reach its most difficult step. From the same 10 microbes you compiled during the previous step, you need to select 3 microbes to clean up Oceanside 1. Before we proceed, as a word of warning, during my 5 years at McKinsey, I did not have to select microbes for an ocean cleanup. Be aware that you are not applying to a marine biology research center, but a management consulting firm. I doubt McKinsey has the permission to dump random bacteria into international waters, but just saying. Given you have watched this far, it would be really cool if you left a like and you would honor me by being my guest or subscriber to my UN Consulting channel. Back to step 4 of the game. In order to select the optimal set of 3 microbes, you need to remember the game success criteria that I had presented to you at the beginning of this video. Let us refresh our minds. You want to reach a 100% game score, since the better your scores at the 3 sites, the more likely it is that you pass the McKinsey PSG. However, you get a penalty of 20% for each attribute where the average of the 3 submitted microbes does not fall within the attribute target range. To be clear about the 3 attribute objectives, if, as in our scenario, the target range for rigidity reaches from 8 to 10, then the average rigidity value of the 3 selected microbes must fall within 8 to 10, otherwise you would incur a penalty. Furthermore, if none of your 3 selected microbes carries the desired trait, you will incur a 20% penalty too. Last but not least, none of your 3 microbes may have the undesired trait, since, you guessed it, that would result in another 20% penalty on your score. Now, McKinsey would not be McKinsey if at this point it would not introduce a significant complication. McKinsey is honest enough to tell you that a 100% solution or a 0 penalty solution is desirable, but that, depending on the scenario, it may or may not be always feasible to achieve a 100% solution. The core issue of this game is that McKinsey does not tell you if you can achieve a 100% solution or not. That is for you to find out, costing you valuable game time. Before I share my advice on how to approach this step, I now want to invite you to practice this crucial game step yourself. What would you do, and which 3 microbes do you want to submit? Given the many decisions you need to take during the course of the game, I suggest that you do not spend more than 4 minutes per step 4 of the game. Therefore, set a timer and after 4 minutes, resume for watching the solution and further clues. Pause the video now. Welcome back. Let us crack it together. To allow you a sneak preview of what is coming, during the Sea Wolf game you will actually face one of 4 scenario types that you need to be aware of, and I will reveal them to you step by step. Back to our scenario in question. I assume that you have taken a pen and a sheet of paper and maybe a calculator. Good ideas. Let me put an empty canvas on the slide. When solving for a site, I usually like to start by using the microbes with the desired trait. In our scenario, we have 3 microbes with the desired trait, so let us try with them and copy their numerical values on this piece of scratch paper. Microbe 88, microbe 92 and microbe 31. Now let us sum their attribute values up. That is 24, 17 and 5. Finally, let us divide these sums by 3. For rigidity it's 8, for mobility 5.7 and for size it is 1.7. Let us compare these average values with the target attribute ranges of the ocean site. Rigidity 8, that's perfect. Mobility 5.7, again a match. Size 1.7, not yet. That is significantly below the target size range from 6 to 8. Let us try a slightly smarter approach and triple the target ranges of our ocean site. The sum of the 3 rigidity values of our microbes needs to be between 24 and 30, for mobility between 12 and 18, and for size between 18 and 24. As before, the attribute conditions are fulfilled for rigidity and mobility, but not yet for size. So let us kick out one of the microbes with a very low size value on our piece of scratch paper and check what type of microbe we need. If we add up the rigidity values of microbes 88 and 92, we get 15. Let us subtract that from the target triple rigidity range so that we get 9 to 15. In order to fulfill the rigidity condition, the third microbe needs to have a rigidity value between 9 and 15. Let us repeat that for mobility. The mobility sum of microbes 88 and 92 is 12. We subtract 12 from the target triple mobility range, which leads to a required mobility value between 0 and 6. Finally, for size we get 4 as the sum from the two microbes. When we subtract that from the target triple size range, that leads us to a remainder of 14 to 20. We need a microbe with a size of 14 to 20? What? Such a giant microbe does not exist. And it's unfortunately not just that. Even if you came out with a feasible attribute target range, there would be no guarantee that another one of your remaining microbes meets all three conditions simultaneously. In my view, this approach is flawed and nowhere safe. In your actual test, you would just have lost valuable time and might have to decide, does the 100% solution not exist for this scenario and should you move on without further trial and error? Or should you try again from scratch and with a new sheet of scratch paper because maybe there is a 100% solution achievable? What should you do? Well, it is time. Time for your Sea Wolf ship laboratory nurse to present you the ultimate weapon. The nuclear weapon that actually solves all these problems. Like a future management consultant, you would use an Excel solver to safely pass the Sea Wolf game. Let us see how it works. In this Excel solver, you find a template for each of the 3 ocean sites that you need to tackle during one Sea Wolf game. Just for demonstration purpose, let me hide for now the Site 2 and Site 3 tables, since at the moment we only are concerned with Site 1. To solve the game, you need to copy in the information from your scenario into the table. We start by marking those microbes that have the undesired trait. In our scenario, the undesired trait is hydrophilic and the first and the 10th microbe are hydrophilic. Therefore, I tag the 2 microbes accordingly in our table. You can see that their coloring in the top row changes to red. We never want to select any microbe with the undesired trait, since that would automatically cost us 20% of the game score. Next, we highlight those microbes that have the desired trait or are heat resistant in our case. We have seen before that these are the 5th, 6th and 9th microbe. I mark them accordingly in our Excel sheet. You see their shade in the top row turns green. At least one of these 3 microbes we need to include in our submission to avoid a 20% penalty. In the third step, we copy the attribute values for the 8 candidate microbes. So for microbe 2, that is 9, 4, 3. For microbe 3, it is 10, 1, 10. For microbe 4, it is 10, 4, 4. On a Windows PC, you use the key combination Alt and Tab to swap between the game or scenario slide and the Excel solver to quickly fill it. I speed up the video here slightly. Finally, we only need to fill in the 3 Site 1 attribute target ranges. For rigidity, that is from 8 to 10, for mobility, 4 to 6, and for size, 6 to 8. Now, a couple of interesting things happen. First, you see that all attribute values that are within the target attribute ranges are highlighted in green. However, I want to draw your attention to the game-changing or magic feature of this Sea Wolf Game Excel solver. As soon as you have inserted the scenario data, in the top left, you automatically get told what is the maximum possible score for this scenario. You immediately know that the 100% solution is feasible for this scenario. Now we just need to find it. Let's do it. Let us start as before and select the 3 microbes that have the desired trait. Now in the little average table you find the exact same values we had earlier in this video calculated with pen and paper. Also in the top left you can see we would currently achieve only an 80% score. 80% because in our current selection there is at least 1 microbe with the desired trait and 2 out of 3 attribute averages match the requirements. However, that is not enough. How do we get to 100%? We can just randomly check and uncheck some of the microbes and go by trial and error. However, let us be a bit smarter. Like we did before, I uncheck microbe 9. Now, what is the issue here? We need a microbe that raises our current rigidity average of 7.5 beyond 8. At the same time, the size average needs to be increased. Microbe 3 has very high values for both rigidity and size, so let us try it. That's okay for rigidity, but our size average is not yet in the green zone. We probably need to split up from another microbe that carries the desired trait. I would uncheck microbe 5 now, since it has the lower size value among the 2 remaining microbes with the desired trait. Microbe 7 has the highest size value among the remaining unchecked microbes, and it also has a high rigidity value. Let us swap from microbe 5 to microbe 7. Voila! All 3 averages turn green. Also, our current score reaches 100%. We can submit these 3 microbes 3, 6 and 7. Let us do that immediately. We have found the 100% solution for this scenario or site 1 of the 3 ocean sites. Now, let me give you some further background on this. Earlier, I briefly mentioned that there exist 4 scenario types at the step 4 of the game, which you need to be aware of. What we have just experienced is what I call the tough scenario. It describes a scenario in which a 100% solution is achievable, but not straightforward to identify. And possibly it even only has a single feasible solution. With the pen and paper approach, we were set up for failure. If we had continued like that, it is quite possible that we would have spent several minutes on this task and eventually settled for an 80% solution, believing there was no better option. We knew better since we knew the maximum possible score from the beginning. Let me demonstrate to you another scenario type. We go back to our site 1 scenario and make 2 very small tweaks to it. We turn 2 microbes into perfect honeymoon microbes. To the 2 microbes with the optimal trait that we could not use before, I assign a size value of 8, which meets the required site 1 size range from 6 to 8 right from the start. Beautiful. So in total, I only changed 2 attribute values. Let me do the same in our Excel solver. For microbes 5 and 9, I overwrite their previous size values by 8. If I now activate the 3 microbes that carry the desired trait, I already obtain a 100% solution immediately. Even better, there are multiple solutions available in this scenario that enable us to achieve a 100% score. I call this the unicorn scenario. Unicorn scenario because a 100% solution is feasible and easy to find, usually because you are lucky to be equipped with several unicorn microbes. Unfortunately, as you saw, between the unicorn and the tough scenario only lay too many changes. How can you be able to see at the start what kind of scenario you have got? Well, there are 2 more scenario types that I want to make you familiar with. Let us play a different step 4 scenario. Let us assume this is ocean site 2, but of course it could also be the first one or the third one in your game. In this site 2, hydrophilic still is the undesired trait, but the new desired trait is aerobic, and the site's target attribute ranges are different. Furthermore, while the images and microbe names have been kept the same, many of their attribute values and traits have changed, so this is a very different scenario. Once again, I like to invite you to solve the puzzle yourself. Which 3 microbes would you select to clean up Oceanside 2? Again, strictly do not spend more than 4 minutes on this scenario. If you like to have a go yourself, pause the video now. We resume for the solution. If you have tried to find a 100% solution yourself, you have probably struggled for a bit. The problem again is it just a difficult scenario or an impossible scenario? McKinsey does not tell you that, and you cannot see it up front with a bare eye or without investing a significant amount of time. So, what is going on here? Maybe you guessed that for this video tutorial I would not present you another 100% scenario, since you ought to learn about all 4 possible scenario types. Let us unhide the other side tables. We then copy the microbe traits and attribute values from this scenario into the Excel solver as well. I fast forward the video here again. You can see that at side 2 it is now microbes 6 and 9 that have the undesired trait and that we never want to pick. Microbes 3, 8 and 10 are aerobic, which is the desired trait of this site. We fill in the side 2 attribute target ranges. For rigidity it is from 1 to 2. For mobility it is from 2 to 4. For size it is 8 to 10. Now let us look immediately at the maximum possible score in the top left. Wait, what? Only a 60% score is possible for this scenario? I think you will agree with me that this is crazy. In this scenario, it is strictly impossible for any combination of microbes to meet 2, let alone 3 attribute target ranges. Essentially, we can just pick any microbe with the desired trait and then produce a suitable average for just one of the 3 attributes. Immediately log in the first best set of 3 microbes and move on fast. This way you are done within a minute. I call this scenario the mystery scenario because until recently I personally had believed a 60% scenario was purely fictional. However, it is not. At this point, several candidates have reported back that they got dealt an actual Sea Wolf Game scenario with only a 60% maximum possible score. What is the third scenario type? I call it the nasty scenario, which is a scenario in which just an 80% solution is possible, where you are able to meet 2 of the 3 attribute target ranges. Given you need to clean up 3 different ocean sites in total, the probability is high that you get dealt at least 1 or 2 of the more challenging scenario types. Recently, some candidates have even reported that in their Sea Wolf game, no 100% solution was feasible in any of their 3 sites. The main problem with the nasty and the mystery scenarios is that it is impossible to know upfront whether you face a tough scenario with a 100% solution or an 80% solution, which is very common too, or even a 60% scenario. Is the scenario difficult because it is difficult or because no feasible solution exists? Let me point out here again the virtue of the Excel solver. With the Excel solver, you actually get to love the 80 and 60% scenarios. The reason is that you know straight from the start if you got dealt a 100% scenario. In this case, you can use the Excel solver to quickly identify a microbes combination delivering a 100% score. However, if you know straight from the start that you got dealt an 80 or 60% scenario, then you know no deep search is required and can typically log in the 80 or 60% solution with only 2 or just 1 attribute average matches very fast. Put in a nutshell, if a maximum possible score shows 80 or 60%, you do not need to spend any game time on trying to find a 100% solution. Can you see how powerful that is? Before I summarize for you the available step 4 strategies in a moment and show you what you need to do during step 5 of the game, you may ask how to get the Sea Wolf Game Excel solver, which you can apply to all 3 ocean sites. It is part of a professional McKinsey Solve Pay Only If You Pass prep kit that I have already mentioned a few times. However, the so-called combo package includes many further items enabling you to safely pass the McKinsey Solve game. Besides the Sea Wolf Game Excel solver, which you can use 3 times for the 3 ocean sites in your scenario, it includes a Sea Wolf Game video guide that offers specific strategy advice on the toughest decisions to make. Furthermore, the combo package comes with a walkthrough video through an entire Sea Wolf Game scenario with 3 ocean sites. The combo package also gets you sorted for the ecosystem game, the first game that you need to play as part of your Solve game. You get a video strategy guide and the ecosystem game Excel solver, which enables you to identify the type of ecosystem game scenario that you have got dealt and lets you safely pass it. If you want to practice a tough ecosystem game scenario that I have built for you, check out this video of my McKinsey Solve Game playlist. The combo package also prepares you effectively for the Redrock Study. The prep kit includes the Redrock Study video strategy guide, walks you through an entire Redrock Study scenario, and finishes off with an interactive practice module. Hence, I think the combo package is a no-brainer. Additionally, you can decide to add 3 game simulation sets. The ecosystem game simulation set includes 3 ecosystem mock game scenarios, which prepare you for the toughest ecosystem game scenarios that can appear. I recommend you to apply your ecosystem game Excel solver to them for your practice. Furthermore, you can decide to add an entire Redrock Study simulation for you to practice. The Redrock Study is a challenging component of the McKinsey Solve games. Last but not least, you can add a Sea Wolf game simulation, enabling you to practice an entire game scenario yourself. If you want to add the simulation, I recommend you to practice using the Sea Wolf Game Excel solver along with it. Here we go. I would like to stress that I only recommend what I have thoroughly reviewed, and I am genuinely impressed with this product. It is continuously being updated and extended. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to the prep kit provider, since he provided me with the beautiful simulation slides as a courtesy so that I could take you through the game in this video. Note that the slides we have gone through together are not part of any product, so all prep kit contents will be unique and novel. If there's one feature that needs to be stressed though, it is its 100% money back guarantee. Yes, that's right. The test provider tracks the success rates of its customers and reports that continuously about 90% of his prep kit users pass the McKinsey PSG. This is insane, given that in this video I broke down for you that only 1 to 2% of applicants to McKinsey manage to get in. However, those few candidates who do not pass the McKinsey PSG get their money fully refunded. That means you only pay if you pass the test. And this is true. I know for a fact that those unlucky few who do not pass get their money back. I believe this 100% money back guarantee is unique in the entire test preparation industry. Who else would be able to offer such an insane guarantee unless you are truly convinced your product delivers on what it promises? So much on this professional pay only if you pass McKinsey Solve Prep Kit. You find the link in the video description below this video. I will now summarize my strategy advice on how to approach the 3-step force of the game. I explained to you that you should anticipate that 4 scenario types may occur and that they appear randomly at any or all of the 3 ocean sides of your game. If you face the easy or unicorn scenario, you do not need to worry. You can either apply a pen and paper approach or try to identify one of the possible 100% solutions by your bare eye. If you decide to use the Excel solver, you might be a little faster, but that does not matter that much. The challenges arise from the other 3 scenario types. If you decide to go without the Excel solver, then the problem is that you do not know whether it is feasible to achieve a 60%, 80% or 100% score. You should try for a bit to check if you can obtain a 100% solution. However, given the 60 decisions you need to take during the course of a Sea Wolf game, I advise you not to spend more than 4 minutes for each of the 3-step force of the game. If you do not find a 100% solution after 4 minutes, lock an inferior solution in and move on. If you use the Sea Wolf Game Excel solver, then you know from the beginning what to expect and can tailor your strategy accordingly. If a 100% solution is feasible, use the Access Solver to identify it quickly. However, if you get dealt a 60 or 80% scenario, that is perfect when you do not need to waste any time and can typically lock in the feasible 60 or 80% solution in less than a minute. Hence, if you use the Access Solver, you will always be able to lock in the best possible solution and can finish the test faster than anybody else, both of which boosting your test performance. One last comment on step 4 of the game. In case you have the question whether you can use an Access Solver during the McKinsey PSG, yes you can. Plenty of candidates have used it both during the ecosystem game and now during the Sea Wolf game as well to successfully pass it. Either you hit on a Windows PC the Alt and Tab keys to swap between the game and the Access Solver. If you're an Apple user, you know what to do. Finally, if you want to feel even safer, some candidates just borrow a second laptop for the duration of the test. On one computer you run the test, on the other computer you run the Access Solver. Sorted. Step 5. Review microbes saved for next site. I have good news for you. After the rather challenging step 4, step 5 presents the anticlimax. To understand your task, we quickly need to morph back to step 2. You remember at step 2 we got a sneak preview of characteristics of the next ocean site 2. It was revealed to us that site 2 will have a desired rigidity range from 1 to 2. Based on this, during step 2 we earmarked microbe 98 as a potential candidate for site 2. At step 5, those microbes that you have earmarked at step 2 for the next site resurface. In our example scenario, from the 5 microbes presented to us during step 2, we exclusively parked microbe 98 for the future. For this reason, you see it now again at step 5 as the only microbe. If we had parked more microbes earlier, we would now have to go through more. However, the decision process works exactly as during step 2. You only need to pay attention to the fact that at step 5 you are dealt the characteristics of a new site. I hope that after watching this tutorial to the end you have learned so much that the decision on microbe 98 should be obvious, so I do not make you pause the video again. The microbe meets 2 of the site 2 attribute targets and is aerobic, which is the desired trait at ocean site 2. Therefore, of course, we assign it to site 2. After completing step 5, the first sequence of the game is completed and you need to start from step 1 for site 2 anew. Also, regardless of how many microbes you assign to site 2 at the previous step 5, during the step 2 for site 2, you will again have to screen 10 microbes. Finally, note that step 5 only appears twice in the game, since during the site 3 sequence there is no option to earmark microbes for a future site. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. And I hope you now feel like this little microbe. If you have watched this far, please prove it and type "cleaned up everything" into the comments and any questions you may have in mind. Please like, subscribe and share if you found this video useful. If you have not yet done so, I invite you to check out my McKinsey Solve Game playlist. All the best for your test, Jack.